If you are already a Mistobox coffee subscriber, then you know they're one of the more dependable coffee subscriptions that are out there. It's super easy to get started, fairly easy to customize. They don't like to overcomplicate things. And if you need a new bag of coffee every 3 days or 19 days, no problem. But if you've been subscribed to them for a while, you might be starting to feel like maybe you've just outgrown the model, or you want more control, more variety. Maybe you're just ready for something different, or maybe you just want a touch more personalization on your subscription as a whole. So if that's the case, I have looked into some alternative coffee subscriptions for you. 5 to be exact. Those are Trade, Beanbox, Atlas Coffee Club, Podium Coffee Club, and then Angel's Cup. And I specifically evaluated them on the 4 main criteria that I find the most important if you're looking to make a switch. One of those alternatives stood out by a pretty wide margin, and I'll get into the whys of that in just a little bit. But the 4 criteria that are used, first is the breadth of their catalog. So how many coffees or how many roasters do they work with? Do they have variety? And that way the subscription doesn't feel like it's getting super old, super fast. Number 2 is how the recommendation system works. So how do they choose or select the coffees that are added to your subscription? Do they just have you pick a category or a collection? Or do they match coffees to your taste profiles? How does that work? Number 3 is freshness. Now I'll go ahead and come out and say, as far as freshness goes, that's a pretty baseline expectation as far as coffee subscriptions go. There's not a whole lot of difference from one subscription to the next. They're all roasting and shipping fresh to order. If you really sit down and map out how fresh the coffee arrives on your doorstep, it's gonna be within a couple days of each other. Not a whole bunch of difference, so I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on it overall. Number 4, last but not least, is the flexibility of the subscription as a whole. So if you want to go back in and make changes to your taste profile or your preferences, or do you need to pause or cancel your subscription? Can you, and how easy do they make that process? So for now, with all of that in mind, let's go ahead and dive into each one and figure out which might be the next best thing for you, depending on what you're looking for. First up on our list is Trade Coffee. So let's start first with their catalog. They work with over 55 roasters across the country, and their catalog in total is somewhere around 500 coffees. So if variety is what you're looking for, you've got it, no questions asked here. Their recommendation system is what makes Trade stand out by such a significant margin. This is what I mentioned earlier. So similar to Mistobox, you take a quiz when you sign up for the subscription, but this is the most comprehensive quiz that I've come across by far. Because Trade doesn't just ask you the normal stuff like, your preferred roast level or tasting notes, do you need ground coffee or whole bean? They take it to a whole new level. They'll ask not only what your preferred brewing methods are, but also how you drink your coffee at home. So do you drink it black? Do you add milk? Do you add sweetener? Both. It depends. If you need ground coffee, they'll grind it specific to your brewing method, because that can make a really big difference for people who don't have a grinder at home. You can fine tune your flavor note preferences, not just the flavor profile. And then you can specify, of course, your delivery frequency, anywhere from every 2 to 4 weeks. So not only that, once you've taken the quiz, they build a taste profile for you, because the idea behind Trade is not just lumping you into a broad category like light roast or dark roast, but they're taking your flavor preferences and they're matching coffees specifically to those preferences. They're so confident about their matching system that if you don't like your very first bag, they will replace it. No questions asked, guaranteed. Freshness wise, all of their partner roasters roast and ship fresh to order, so there's no worries about your coffee arriving stale before you even get to it. And then as far as flexibility goes, you can go into your subscription at any time. You can change any of those preferences that they quizzed you about earlier. Let's say you started out drinking espresso, but you got some new cool cold brew system at home and now you're all about cold brew. No problem. You can also go in and just swap out coffees at will. Let's say you had a coffee that you really enjoyed last week and you want to have it again this week. As long as it's 24 hours before the roasting date, you can just swap it back into your rotation, no worries. Trade is the strongest by far. If you line it up against all 4 of those criteria, the recommendation system is where it shines the most, but it does all 4 of those criteria really well. You can also pause, edit, or cancel your subscription at any time, so it's very flexible, super easy to customize whenever you need. Next up is Beanbox. So once again, starting off with their catalog, they work with over 60 roasters across the country and have upwards of 650 coffees in their catalog. So again, variety is not in question here. If that's what you're looking for, you got it. Technically, their catalog is larger than both Trade and Mistobox. So if you're just looking for the largest catalog possible, Beanbox wins. At the same time, practically speaking, if you're on the most frequent delivery schedule, which is every 2 to 4 weeks, similar to Trade, you're still trying the same amount of coffees per year, which is up to 24. But again, if you're just looking for the largest catalog possible, Beanbox is certainly the winner here. For their recommendation system, similar to most other subscriptions, you start with a short quiz, you pick whole or ground coffee, and then you pick a category, so light, medium, dark roast, single origin, espresso, cold brew, etc. The only limitation here is you can't mix and match categories. So let's say you only make espresso at home, but you also really like single origins. You can't pick both of them. You can only pick the one. However, similar to Trade, you can rate the bags that you receive. You go into your profile and you simply select you loved it or not for me, and they can use that to help guide their selections in the future. Freshness wise, same thing. Their partner roasters roast and ship fresh to order, so you never have to worry about drinking stale coffee. Flexibility wise, also similar. You can go in and pause, edit, cancel at any time. You can edit your taste preferences. The only difference is there's just not as much to actually customize over time. I would say Beanbox is a really great choice. Again, if your main criteria is the largest catalog possible, it's a really solid starter subscription at the end of the day. Next up is Atlas Coffee Club, and this is for a really specific kind of person, the people who love single origin coffees. Now, the main difference here is this subscription, all the coffees only come from one roaster, Atlas Coffee Club. However, you receive coffees from a brand new country of origin every single month. So this is a great option if you're trying to expand your palate and try as many countries of origin as you can. For the recommendation system, again, you take a short quiz. Do you need whole bean or ground coffee? What's your preferred roast level? And what's your preferred flavor profile? Their flavor profiles are only broken down into 2 categories. They have smooth and balanced or bright and expressive. And if you're like me and you like the bright and expressive coffees, you're gonna have to pay the price. That adds an extra $3 to each bag per delivery. However, freshness wise, they technically boast the fastest turnaround, at least based on what their website says. They roast and ship on the exact same day. So technically, they ship it the fastest. Again, though, practically speaking, it's not gonna make a huge difference at the end of the day. But then for flexibility, you can go in and edit your subscription, your preferences at any time. You can pause, edit, cancel. It's super easy to do so. So I would recommend Atlas Coffee Club. Again, for people who are trying to travel the coffee globe, as we say, you're just trying to expand your palate, try as many coffees from different countries of origin as you can. The only limitation is the country of origin only rotates once a month. So in total, you'll try up to 12 countries in a given year. This next one is a little different because it solves a different problem entirely. Podium Coffee Club works specifically with roasters who have stood on the podium and won major coffee competitions. So think things like the US Coffee Roasting Championship, the Good Food Award, the Golden Bean, those sorts of things. So if you're more so looking for a subscription that just gives you obviously high quality coffee, this is a really surefire way to do so. They only ship once a month, so you'll try up to 12 coffees in a given year. And obviously the pool of roasters is gonna be a little bit smaller, so up to maybe a dozen or so roasters at a given time. However, they're roasters who are at the very, very top of their game, so you don't have to worry about quality being an issue whatsoever. Customization wise, there's not really a recommendation system per se. It's just, here are the best of the best coffees from the best of the best roasters. here you go. There are also only 2 tiers to choose from. You've got the gold tier or the platinum tier. The only difference between the two is the price, because the platinum tier offers coffees from the top 1% of all coffee in the world. So the absolute best of the best that is out there. You can also go in though and adjust your subscription, so your delivery frequency or how much you need, those sorts of things. But again, preference-wise, there's not a whole lot that you can change. Freshness-wise, they ship and roast to order, fresh to your door. They only ship whole bean, so that is a pretty major limitation for people who don't have coffee grinders at home. You kind of have to sit out on this one. Again though, if your main criteria is quality, you just want the best of the best, Podium Coffee Club is worth checking out. Last but not least is Angel's Cup. So once again, starting off with their catalog. The details are a little bit murky here. They don't list it very clearly on their website. All I could really find is in a given year, in years past, they've worked with upwards of 200 roasters at a given time. So that's a pretty significant number compared to the rest. And if you're on the most frequent delivery schedule, then you could try up to 52 coffees in a single given year. For their recommendation system, there's also not a whole lot to customize. So you choose whole bean or grounds, a roast level, and then your delivery frequency. Roast level, if you like light or medium roasts, those will rotate once a week. If you like dark roasts, that only rotates once a month. So depending on what you choose will determine how much variety you will actually receive. That also means if you want to try up to 52 coffees in a given year, like I mentioned previously, that means you have to go with the light or the medium roast. And then for flexibility, again, not much for you to actually customize. You can go in and change your flavor preference, and you can pause, you can edit, cancel, etc. But again, there's not actually much to change at the end of the day. Freshness, they do also roast and ship fresh to order, so you don't have to worry about drinking stale coffee. This one, there's just not a lot of visibility on what you're actually getting, and there's so little to actually customize. And this is one of the more expensive options. Most of the other subscriptions land somewhere in the $16 to $25 per bag area. Obviously, Podium Coffee Club is the exception because it's very top tier, highest quality coffee. Angel's Cup is $27.50 per bag plus shipping, when again, there's not really much clarification around what you're actually receiving. So at the end of the day, if you just want to be surprised, this might be a great option, but otherwise, Angel's Cup also has the most limitations compared to the rest. So let's revisit the criteria one more time. First, we had the variety of the catalog, the recommendation system and how that works, freshness, and then how flexible the subscription actually is. Trade is the best pick if you just want as much ongoing personalization and variety as you possibly can get, because again, they're matching coffee specifically to your taste profile and your preferences. They fit all 4 of those criteria really, really well. If you're just looking for the largest catalog that you could find, Beanbox will take the cake on that one. If you're looking for as much single origin variety as you can find, Atlas Coffee Club is the winner. If you don't care as much about variety and more so finding the highest quality coffee as you possibly can, Podium Coffee Club is the winner. And then last but not least, if you more so just want to be surprised, then Angel's Cup might be the best pick for you. At the end of the day, a lot of these coffee subscriptions are solving a lot of the same problems. It's just going to depend on your coffee habits. So if you're looking to switch, I hope this is helpful for you in finding the next best thing for you.